So I've started recording and we are ready to begin whenever you're ready, Commissioner Opstead.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Chuck. Good morning, everyone. I'm calling this meeting to order at 9:33. My name is Keith Opstead, and I'm the chair of the City of San Diego Commission for Arts and Culture Public Art Committee. We're going to do a quick roll call to confirm committee members' attendance. When I call your name, please unmute yourself to say present. Commissioner Fritz Friedman.
Present.
Anthony Graham.
Present.
Dr. Melinda Guillen.
Present.
Wayne Holton.
Present.
Commissioner Abe Hughes.
Present.
Commissioner Alessandra Moctezuma.
Present.
Thank you. Francisco Eme. Commissioner Imani Robinson.
Present.
Thank you very much. Dr. Anjun Park. And Dr. Denise Rogers. Okay.
And for the record, I believe Francisco has just joined us.
Excellent.
Hello, yes, I'm here.
Thank you so very much. Okay. Thank you for your attendance. It has been noted. Also joining us today is Commission for Arts and Culture staff, including Chief of Civic Art Strategies, Christine Jones, Senior Public Art Manager, Chuck Miller, Civic Art Project Manager, Dr. Laura Bullock, is currently in San Ysidro preparing for the Bayer Public Park Public Art Project Artist Open House that will be happening very soon. Before we get into today's agenda, I'm going to call on Chuck Miller to run down some of the guidelines for today's meeting.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Reminder that this meeting is a Zoom webinar and members of the public may join the meeting as webinar attendees to provide virtual non-agenda and agenda comment in real time. A reminder to note the buttons on the control bar at the bottom of the Zoom window to mute and unmute and turn the camera on and off. Please remember to stay muted when you are not talking and to unmute yourself when you speak. Please keep your chat window open at all times as you will be using the chat to signal when you'd like to speak. Please refrain from using the hand raising indicator and instead type speak in the chat window for the record, and the chair will acknowledge requests in order. And finally, a reminder to please refrain from using the meeting chat for anything other than signaling when you'd like to speak in order to comply with the Brown Act. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Chuck. We will now move on to the non-agenda public comment. The public was invited to submit public comment on agenda and non-agenda items via a web form accessible through the agenda and the Commission's website. Members of the public may also join this meeting as webinar attendees. If members of the public have submitted comments in writing via the web form, staff will read aloud public comments submitted per city public comment protocol. I will call on Chuck to read aloud any non-agenda public comment or to call on any attendees who would like to provide comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Opstead. No comment was submitted in writing, and currently no attendees from the general public.
Thank you for that, Chuck. So we're going to move on to commission business. Happy New Year to everyone. Given that the PAC did not meet in December, I have nothing public art related to report from December's commission meeting. I would like to take this opportunity to let you all know that we will most likely be transitioning back to in-person meetings in the coming months, potentially as early as February. The primary reason for this is the anticipated lifting of the emergency suspension of provisions of the Brown Act at the state level. We will recognize that the shift may be abrupt and you probably have questions, so I hope it suffices for now that I assure you that staff will be communicating and working closely with committee members in the coming weeks as more details emerge. In order to accommodate your continued committee participation through this transition and to ensure that the protocol for subsequent meetings is clear. Finally, on a lighter note, I'd like to remind everyone that the Artist Open House for the Bayer Park Public Art Project by Ingram Ober and Marisol Rendon is taking place at the San Ysidro Civic Center today from 11 to 2. That's what Dr. Laura Bullock is setting up right now. Ingram and Marisol will be sharing the proposal, and we commented on in our November meeting with the public in conjunction with Casa Familiar's Dia de los Reyes celebration. If you have an opportunity after this meeting, I encourage you to head down to San Isidro to check it in on the artists and the San Isidro community. Looking forward to much more in store for 2023. Our first action item is the November 4th Public Art Committee meeting minutes. I hope that everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes from the November 4th, 2022 meeting. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes as they are? If you would, please type speak on the chat window, and when I call on you, verbally state your name and make your motion. Commissioner Friedman,
I move to accept the notes for the November meeting.
thank you so much, Commissioner Friedman. Would anyone like to second that? Please type speak on the chat window and verbally state your name and second. If anybody is able to second the motion to accept the November minutes, Anthony Graham,
I second the motion.
thank you so very much. Noted. We now have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If you would like to speak, please type speak on the chat window. I see no comments. Now we will take a vote. I will call on your name and you will respond out loud with yay, nay, or abstain. Remember that you do not need to have been present at the November meeting to vote or discuss. Commissioner Fritz Friedman,
Yay.
Dr. Melinda Guillen,
Yay.
Wayne Holton,
Yay.
Commissioner Abe Hughes,
Yay.
Commissioner Alessandro Moctezuma,
Yay.
Commissioner Imani Robinson,
Yay.
Francisco Eme,
Yay.
and I believe Dr. Anjun Park and Dr. Denise Rogers are not with us. So, and my vote is a yay. Thank you. Chuck, please read any public comment for this item that was submitted in writing and call on any attendees that would like to provide comment for this item.
Thank you, Commissioner Opstad. No comments submitted in writing and currently no attendees.
Excellent. Looking at the chat, Commissioner Friedman, do you have your hand up?
No. Oh, no.
Okay, no problem at all.
Thank you.
Okay, so this takes us now to our action item. I'd like to call on Christine to provide an overview of the project and the staff recommendation.
Thank you, Chair Opstead, and good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. It's so nice to see everybody in 2023. Today I'm going to be presenting the staff recommendation for the panelists for the City of San Diego's first ever Municipal Photo Fellowship. So before I get to that recommendation, I do want to provide you an overview of the fellowship and give you a lot of background and context. So photography, it's essential to our understanding of our shared environment. As many of you would probably agree, it's a powerful tool for creative expression, and it can illuminate priorities and initiatives of the City of San Diego. It can also engage artists in the work of the city in a new way, and it can advance inclusion in the wider arts ecology for all San Diego residents. So with that in mind, the city has designed a municipal photo fellowship. It's officially called Exposure, and it provides a new platform for artists to explore civic and social issues facing the city through the medium of photography. So through this fellowship, artists will connect directly to one or more active city priorities or initiatives, and it will give them unprecedented access to city department partners, communities, and environments. Artists work collaboratively and in open-ended processes to research, strategize, explore, experiment in new approaches in visual storytelling, which will ultimately result in the creation of a temporary project and representative body of photographic artwork for the city's civic art collection. And it ties in and supports the implementation, again, of a city priority or initiative. So the pilot fellowship, which I'll expand on in a few minutes, is made possible in part through a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts that the city has received. So let's go to the next slide. So here you'll see the kind of the goals that have been outlined for exposure overall. So the fellowship, I'll just kind of read them to you. So the goals that have been identified are providing, again, a platform. This is for artists to really research and explore civic and social issues facing San Diego in general through the medium of photography, and then produce those high quality projects using artistic, journalistic, lens-based approaches to visual storytelling, to connect or support a priority or initiative. The idea and goal is to employ creative engagement and participatory strategies to foster inclusive dialogue and connection, and then inspire public will for photographic arts, creative industries as cross-sector tools that can really deepen and expand public work and civic work specifically. So let's go to the next slide. So we're really kind of identifying this as a pilot at this point. So for this pilot exposure fellowship, which we're identifying as happening in 2023 and 2024, the city will seek an artist or an artist team to serve as the photo fellow, and specifically for the city's Welcoming San Diego initiative. So for those of you who may not be familiar with the Welcoming San Diego initiative of the city, it was formally launched back in 2019 as a multi-sector effort to advance civic, social, and economic integration of immigrants and refugees and asylees. So working with that understanding that immigrants, refugees, all of us who call San Diego home are certainly indispensable to our region. There was a strategic plan developed at that time around the Welcoming San Diego kind of initiative. And it was the strategic plan has been in place since 2019, and it actually goes through the end of 2024. And it really presents an opportunity to build on a lot of these newcomers' assets, their desire to succeed here and to work together toward a more connected and inclusive community. So the city's Office of Immigrant Affairs was just established in 2022. And they were established to advance immigrant rights, craft policies, and services to support these new comers. The office works to ensure the continued implementation of this Welcoming San Diego initiative and the strategic plan, and really to develop San Diego as a welcoming city for all. And so the Welcoming San Diego initiative really offers a fellow or a selected artist a new framework for really creative exploration and experimentation, which again will result in the production of a lens-based project and a small body of photographic artwork, which I'll explain in a few minutes. And that really uses this initiative as a pretext for artistic development and kind of conceptualization. So let's go to the next slide. So you'll see here kind of a timeline that's been identified. So just to kind of walk you through a little bit more about how this would work is the artist that would be selected through a competitive process, which I'll expand on in a few minutes. It would start potentially their work as the fellow in spring of 2023. And at that time, they really go through a research period, and really a deep research period where they are engaged with the Office of Immigrant Affairs staff and really spend that time learning about the Welcoming San Diego activities, the priorities, the strategic plan, and the actual schedule for what's happening in the rest of 2023 and 24. The fellowship will also include the development of a work plan and an evaluation plan that will be able to document the process of the fellowship, the approach that the artist takes, any lessons learned. The artist will also have regular communication with our team as the project managers. So also during this time, the artist will spend time engaging with relevant stakeholders and advisors for guidance in how best to engage and build trust within immigrant and host communities. There are different advisory groups at the city, International Affairs, Human Relations, that are in this space that can also provide guidance. At the end of this phase, the artist will propose a project design in collaboration with the Office of Immigrant Affairs, and really can tell the stories, chronicle, investigate, or illuminate the Welcoming San Diego initiative in some way. The project phase would happen and take place in 2024. And again, it's a temporary kind of project. The tenure of the fellowship would conclude in the fall of 2024 with the production of a small representative body of work, that's kind of in response to the Welcoming San Diego initiative, in response to their project. It'd be a minimum of about 5 final images that would then be included in the city civic art collection. So the anticipated total budget for the fellowship is $75,000. And again, the fellowship for this pilot is made possible in part through a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts, which the city received. At the end, the fellowship activities will be summarized in a final report. And it'll include documentation of what that actual process was, what the approach was, again, kind of the outcomes, and can lay the groundwork for future exposure fellowships in other city departments. So let's go to the next slide. So with regards to artist selection process, we anticipate releasing a request for qualifications. It'll be a competitive process open to San Diego County artists working within the medium of photography in some way. They will submit their qualifications for consideration for the fellowship. This will include, expressing their interest, submitting a resume or CV, and examples of past work, which is customary for our application processes. There'll be a 5-member ad hoc panel, and to evaluate these applications, recommend one artist or artist team for the fellowship. The panel for exposure will be composed of 5 members. We'll be looking today for a PAC member to serve on that. And there'll be 2 visual art professionals, as well as 2 representatives from the Office of Immigrant Affairs. And will probably end up being stakeholders that were involved with the strategic plan in the community. And then ultimately, one artist or artist team will be awarded the fellowship and enter into an award agreement with the city for the duration of the fellowship. So today, the Public Art Committee, we're asking you to make a recommendation for, again, those 3 panelists, 1 PAC member and 2 visual art professionals to serve as the 3 of the 5 selection panelists, and then alternates as well, if in the case they're not able to serve. Let's go to the next slide. So for the visual art seat, staff is recommending 2 local visual art professionals for your consideration. Scott B. Davis is recommended. He is an artist. He's a founder of the Medium Photography or Medium Photo, which is a local nonprofit organization. They produce the annual Medium Festival. They host workshops and artist lectures, and really focused on supporting emerging and established fine art photographers. He is a widely exhibited fine art photographer in his own right, and utilizes a kind of a 19th century palladium mediums in his own work. And his work's been shown at various museums, including the J. Paul Getty Museum, the LA County Museum of Art, Pier 24 in San Francisco, and has recently been published in a book by Radius Books. Our other proposed panelists for your consideration is Tiffany Wayne Barris. First of all, most of you know Tiffany was recently a Public Art Committee member. She never did have the opportunity to serve on an artist selection panel during her tenure on the PAC. For those of you who don't know as much about her, she is a local curator and an art historian. She is interested in transnational flows of visual culture that characterize global art. Her scholarly research is in both ancient and contemporary art practices, and she really explores interpretation and reconceptualization of antiquity and contemporary context. Her practice is dedicated to rethinking curatorial practice and models to be able to build community and to make art more accessible. She's curated about 30 exhibition projects, including an exhibition back in 2020 called of the Shadows, which was a contemporary Chinese photography show at the Museum of Photographic Arts here in San Diego. She's also curated shows at the Asian Art Museum in San Francisco, as well as the Hong Kong Museum and Art Gallery. So these are the two visual art professional panelists that we were recommending. As you can probably imagine, they bring a wealth of curation and contemporary art practices and engagement, as well as knowledge specifically of photography and working within diverse communities. Let's go to the next slide. So with this context and information, we're recommending what you see on the screen. Again, it's your opportunity to make a recommendation of 3 panelists for the fellowship. And we will be looking for a PAC member volunteer and a PAC member alternate today. So that kind of concludes our presentation today, and happy to answer questions.
I believe Commissioner Hughes has a question for Christine.
Yeah, Christine, really fantastic presentation, and it's going to be great to see us move into the space of photography, because it's really an exciting area, and certainly one that I've collected in the past years. My question to you is really around, are we ready, if this is going to be our first forays into photography, right? Are we ready to make sure that whatever works that come out of this project, and I'm sure they're going to be high quality works, are taken care of in the best way possible? Because photography requires a whole entire, I think, level of care and placement and what have you. I mean, there are some creative people out there doing some really interesting work that's lasting. There's others, however, if you look at just classical photography, that, you know, it really gets damaged pretty quickly. And so my concerns are around that thing and aspect here, and what are we thinking, you know, way down the road in 24 when they come into our collection, come into the community, how do we preserve them?
Yeah, that's a fabulous question, and a really, you know, something obviously that's always top of mind for us. So in the city, our office is charged with stewardship of the civic art collection. We have a very comprehensive collection management policy and a robust collection management stewardship in terms of conservation and registration, collections management in general. So we're well, aligned with being able to care for and steward not only photographic works, but works on paper. We recognize and understand, the ways that you have to glaze, frame, light sensitivity, placement, so we have kind of all of that information and have those practices already. So I feel confident that we'll be able to preserve and to introduce those new works into the city's collection.
Okay, thank you very much.
Christine, that was a wonderful presentation, and it's going to be a really exciting project. Does anybody else have any comments? If you do, please type speak into the chat box and I'll acknowledge you. I see no additional questions or comments. So what I'm now going to do is ask if there are any volunteers from the Public Art Committee members to fill one of the 5 selection panel seats for the Exposure Fellowship. We will also need one alternate in the event that those who volunteer are unable to serve. Are there any volunteers? Please type speak in the chat window and I will verbally acknowledge you in order. Commissioner Moctezuma.
Yes. Hi. This is a topic that I'm really interested in, photography, and especially tied to social justice issues and immigration, and I know a lot of artists who work in that field. I would love to volunteer. The only thing is I am on the board of Medium Photos, so I don't know if that's a conflict, since Scott is also with Medium, and it would appear that it weighs heavily on that organization. So I just want to mention that. But if it's not an issue, I'd be happy to volunteer. But I think other people also are very eager. So just wanted to mention that.
Christine, can you speak to that? Is there a conflict of interest?
The conflict of interest is really with the applicants directly, making sure that a panelist doesn't have some type of relationship with the applicants. However, we'll leave it up to you as to who you guys want to recommend.
Commissioner Moctezuma, we had a bunch of volunteers. And so if you were the first to chime in, obviously you're passionate about it and everything like that. If you feel that there's no conflict of interest, I will gladly accept your, you as a first. Is that something you feel that there's no conflicts of interest?
Well, I did type in first, but I also, I get to serve on these committees a lot. So I'm happy to also be an alternate if the other commissioners are interested, or if people want to vote on it or whatever. So I'm happy either way. Thank
To
you.
help out. Thank you so very much for that. I believe the next person to chime in was Commissioner Hughes.
Yes, I just wanted to express my interest along with Alessandra's of participating in a meaningful way here. If you're looking for volunteers and you need a PAC committee member, happy to do that, serve as a full-time member or as an alternative. I've got a long history of supporting photography from, I want to say as old as 30 years ago, just, collecting really amazing photographers such as Alfredo Har from Chile, Vic Muniz from Brazil, and some of the Mexican photographers as well. So it's a medium I like, and would be happy to serve in this way if there's a need, but I don't want to ace anybody else out either.
Thank you all for your enthusiasm and your opportunities, your willingness to serve. I'd like to call on Wayne Holton next.
No, I just, was interested, but obviously knowing Alessandra and her experience and hearing and listening to Abe, I think either of them would serve the group well as the first and or alternate. So I'll support either or both of them.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And I'd also like to call on Francisco Emi.
Thank you. Yeah, likewise, I support Alessandra or Abe. I could be an alternate member, but I think we have already enough volunteers. So I'm glad. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your input on that. So what I'd like to do, I think, based on the volunteers, let me make sure that I'm following this properly, that I'm not messing up here, is we've acknowledged everybody that has done that, and we thank you for that. What we'd like to do is now make a motion to advise the commission to recommend the following panelists for the Exposure Fellowship. And I'd like to go with the first PAC volunteer as Commissioner Hughes, and then with the alternate Commissioner Moctezuma. Does that sound all right? I'm getting some nods. Fantastic. We'd also like to acknowledge Scott B. Davis for the first Visual Art Design Professional seat and Tiffany Y. Barris for the second Visual Art Design Professional seat, with recommended alternates in no particular order, to serve as 3 of the 5 ad hoc artist selection panelists. And if you would like to speak, please speak in the chat window and verbally state your name and make your motion. I'm going to skip that because we had so many additional volunteers. I would like to go ahead and acknowledge Wayne Holton as an additional person to fill that position.
Can you clarify what the motion you just made?
I will absolutely do that. I was taking notes at the same time. I apologize. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to make a motion to advise the commission to recommend the following panelists for the Exposure Fellowship. The number 1 Pacific volunteer is going to be Commissioner Abe Hughes, with the alternate Commissioner Moctezuma, Scott B. Davis for the first Visual Art Design Professional seat, Tiffany Wei Ying Barres for the second Visual Art Design Professional seat, with recommended alternates in no particular order to serve as 3 of the 5 ad hoc artist selection panelists. If you would, please type speak on the chat window and verbally state your name and make your motion. Commissioner Moctezuma,
Yes, I move to approve the panelists that you have mentioned.
thank you so very much. That is noted. Would anybody like to second it? Commissioner Friedman,
I second.
thank you for that. That is noted. We now have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If you would like to speak regarding that, please type speak on the chat window and you'll be called in order to request in the order that the requests come in. I see no additional comments. Is there any discussion? I see no comments. So now we will take a vote. I will call your name and you'll respond out loud with yay, nay, or abstain. Commissioner Friedman,
Yay.
Anthony Graham,
Yay.
Dr. Melinda Guillen,
Yay.
Wayne Holton,
Yay.
Commissioner Abe Hughes,
Yay.
Commissioner Alessandra Moctezuma,
Yay.
Francisco Ame,
Yay.
Commissioner Imani Robinson,
Yay.
and my vote is an enthusiastic yay. Thank you. Chuck, please read any public comment for this item that was submitted in writing and call on any attendees that would like to provide comment for this item.
Thank you, Commissioner Opsted. No comment was submitted in writing and currently no attendees.
Thank you for that. I'd like to call on Christine Jones to provide the staff reports.
Well, I think our main staff report today is just to stop early. And if anybody wants to go down and to the Artist Open House today from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. today at San Ysidro Civic Center. Certainly you hopefully are all remembering the proposal that Ingram and Marisol put together. So this will be an opportunity for them to really share their artwork renderings and talk to local community about their creative practice and get any input and feedback from the community. So again, the open house will be at the Civic Center. That's 212 Park Avenue. And the reason why it's from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. is it's coinciding with the Casa Familiar community event that is celebrating Dia de los Reyes. So that's why it's in the afternoon. There'll be a built-in audience for Ingram and Marisol to engage with, as well as anybody else because everybody and anybody is welcome to attend. So if you do have the inkling, please go on down. Otherwise, we'll let you know how it goes and brief you more on that project as they continue to develop it and respond to feedback they receive. And that concludes our updates for today.
Thank you so much, Christine. If anybody has any questions for Christine regarding this or the project that's happening later on today, please go ahead and type speak in the chat box. I see none. Finally, Chuck, please read any public comment for this item that was submitted in writing. Whoops, hold on. I believe we're done. So I believe, Chuck, is there any additional information or comments that need to be read aloud?
I'll just, before I get to that, I'll just say committee member reports, if any.
I believe Commissioner Hughes has a comment.
It might be a little off subject, but I just wanted to acknowledge and thanks everyone for your votes on the committee representation. I'll report back to you guys how it's coming along. And Alessandra, if I can't make something, I'll let you know. All right. But thank you.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Robinson.
I just wanted to say thanks to Fritz for getting us together before the mayor's city address. So I'm excited to actually be able to, kind of touch you guys, see you in real time. So this will be great.
Thank
Well
you.
put.
You're welcome.
Looking forward to seeing many of you there next week.
Yeah.
Are there any additional comments? If so, please type speak in the chat box and I'll acknowledge you. All right. Seeing none. Thank you, committee members. Our next meeting is tentatively planned for Friday, February 3rd. This meeting is officially adjourned at 10:07. Happy New Year, everybody, and have a wonderful weekend. Be safe,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Good to see everyone. Have a nice day.